Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Australian Crit Race powered by Kiss. My name is Jesper Anker, and as always, I'm joined by the great, the funny, the Wesley Salzberg. How you doing, Wes?
I'm good, Jasper.
So, in the grand scheme of musical chairs, geographical musical chairs, where are you live streaming from tonight, Wes?
I'm live streaming from a top 10 Vuelta a España's house at the moment in Ivanhoe, Johnny Walker.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you doing at
So,
his house?
so Johnny, over the weekend, I went to the footy game here. So, the Australian rules football, which I think you went and watched the game while you were here, Jasper.
Yeah, I fell asleep.
Okay. Well, we don't have to bring that up, but it was one of the biggest matches of the year. The Essendon versus Richmond, and I think the last time I went to that game was in about 16 years ago. So Johnny hooked me up some tickets, so I rode my bicycle across to Johnny's house, and that's
Nice.
where it's rested since. So I needed to pick up my bike, so I caught the train here. And then I was actually hoping we could get Johnny on the stream to talk a little bit about his Vuelta España top 10 finish. But he's had to pop out for dinner with his mum. So in the meantime, I'm loitering in his house and doing the stream.
Well, we'll be talking plenty about cycling, so we'll get onto that. I'm more excited in AFL because when I was there, I think it was like Richmond versus Adelaide or Melbourne or some teams were playing. How do you stay awake when
Mm-hmm.
watching that game, Wes? Just saying.
Well, for me, it was easy to stay awake, but I almost wanted to go to sleep watching Essendon actually play against Richmond, and we weren't playing too well. We came out charged in the second quarter, but unfortunately, we faded a little bit. Like we might see some of these legs fade a little bit tonight in this E-crit.
Oh, we got Pat Shaw on the start list. So last week, Pat Shaw was actually bunking with you, Wes, in Melbourne over with the great
Mhm.
GP Lama. Today he's decided to take up the racing instead. How was it having Pat with you last night or last week in the commentary box?
Yeah, it was good having Pat in there. He's always got very knowledgeable in cycling in general, but also a very keen Zwifter and knows how to race on Zwift. And we will see most likely if he is in the bunch at the end there, because he hasn't been as quite as sharp and polished as he was last year when he actually said to me that this Zwift racing has forced me to structured training. So I think Pat will start to probably pick up as the racing goes on. But we'll probably get him involved more in the streams because he does have that really good character and has a good amount of knowledge as well. So it'd be great to involve Pat in these streams.
And the racing is off. We're on Watopia today. It's 8 laps of the counterclockwise course on the Volcano. We have about 50 riders on the start list so far. Cameron Roberts is one of them. Greg Watson is another one. We've got Keith Leonard, Stephen Richards, and none other than Pat Shaw from Australia. I also see my good friend Ginger Citizen of TCH Team Cycling Up out on course. They're taking off, but there's no WP task, Wes. When are we going to see Luke Ockerby, who's just got a new girlfriend, Aaron Dunn, and the rest of the guys take the start line?
Well, we'll see that crew sort of gather together. Ockerby's coming back from a bit of an injury as well as picking up a girlfriend. He's had a bit of a wrist injury, so that would look pretty gruesome on Instagram there. It looked like a good slicing open. I'm not sure what happened there. I know he does a bit of fishing, so I don't know whether it was a fishing accident or what it was, but he's coming back. Also, Aaron Dunn is pretty keen to get the Wolfpack crew back together. There is a Facebook page, and they have been rallying the troops and trying to get some of the guys together to try and make a bit of an assault on the series once it starts up. But as the series starts to gather some momentum, they're really going to be targeting when the points come into play as well. But good to see that the other riders are getting amongst this. Hopefully, we'll see the Wolfpack crew get assembled so they can start to use some of this pre-season training ready to aim for picking up some of those points and working as a team.
Yeah, when the actual series kicks off, the WP Task Boys are actually going to start at a disadvantage because Cameron Roberts is coming in with peak
Mm-hmm.
fitness for the first 3 or 4 weeks if his interest can keep up. Keith Leonard would also be another rider to have an eye out for. When the WP Task Boys come in, they're going to be way behind in the form curve. Is that a smart move? Would you rather peak for the later weeks of the Ecrit series, or should you come in guns blazing, Wes?
We should always go in guns blazing, but yeah, it is a bold strategy by the Wolfpack crew. Like I said, they are rallying the troops, and hopefully we can see them start to pull together for from next week onwards. As the I guess sort of senior director of the team, I will start to rally that. We also have Nadzie, who is probably the El Captione. So we'll get on to Nadzie as well as Aaron Dunn to sort of get that crew together. But just a few comments as well now, Jasper, coming in on the stream. Cameron Roberts looks like he's joined in. He's found the stream as well. So good to see Cam's joining in and enjoying the shout outs and tearing people's legs off at the same time. Mick Palmier says that his legs will definitely fade tonight. But we've got Nathan Guerrero. Hey, Nath
Hey,
in on the
Nathan.
stream as well. And also we've got Angelina also watching, saying that she's watching from the UK with the sorry, Angela's watching with Paul from the UK. So that is actually Watson's Wheels. That's watching in from the UK, watching Greg Watson race there.
Really?
So we see Pat Shaw now at 246 watts. So not the or we see it pick up to 300 there now. So they're not cruising along here through this volcano. The things are lighting up, but it hasn't fully exploded yet.
Not yet. And as they cross the start-finish banner, it will be 8 laps to go. But Wes, some news that shook the Zwift world this morning that have been released over on Cycling Weekly. The newest course addition to Zwift has actually been announced. Have you seen it, Wes?
Has it been announced? I've been on the cusp of it being announced. I knew it was going to be announced at, I think it was 6 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time. So I was traveling on the train in between then. So it's good that it's probably dropped on the way through as I was traveling.
So the newest course, if you haven't seen this yet, you can always head over to Swift Riders. There's a small outpick of an article that I shared over there, but it's actually the Innsbruck World Championship course that is coming to Swift. I believe the article said in August. Swift, you really never know with deadlines, but it's going to come out very, very soon, and you can ride the some of the World Championship course later this year. And Wes, they rode the World Championships course in Tour of the Alps earlier in the year. I don't know how much you saw of that, but it was brutal. Like, they have to do this
Mm-hmm.
stupid climb, what seems to be 20 million times. What can you expect as a
Mm-hmm.
Swifter from this course?
Well, it's going to be pretty solid. It doesn't have it's not the finishing course. So it hasn't got that 24% piece in it, but that course certainly is not easy. Even without having that finishing circuit in it, it's going to be challenging, and I'm sure that everyone's going to really like being able to virtually simulate this course and train on it and get prepared for the World Championships.
My one concern, though, because this is great news, always new courses. You hear everyone yelling and shouting for new courses. But what's stopping this course from becoming the new Richmond? Like Richmond is on twice a month, and everyone kind of goes, Richmond, yeah, I'm going out in the rain.
Well, hopefully this time we've had enough preparation time to make sure, and especially with the course the way it is as well, it's going to be challenging. So I'm sure that this course will probably hopefully get a little bit more highlighted than Richmond, and there are some other things in the pipeline as well. So there's lots to look forward to. And just giving a shout out to Brody Talbot as well, who's actually come back from last year, had a pretty nasty crash and injured his back in China, a few broken vertebrae, and had to actually have some of his back fused together. So good to see that he's making a bit of comeback and getting involved in the eCrit series here tonight.
Another shout out as well as we're on Hugo Jones. Ollie Jones, not related to Hugo, sent me a text before this race going, hey Jesper, just a heads up, Hugo Jones is actually a New Zealand track athlete, like for the national team. This is his second time racing Zwift. He should be good for at least a 1500 watts bazooka at some point. So we're watching him, but Wes, I don't know if you can see it, his heart rate is already at 196 beats per minute. That's
Whoa.
pretty high 6 minutes into the race.
That is pretty high, 6 minutes in. Another shout out as well to Sammy Welsford, Olympic gold medalist, Commonwealth Games medalist, Teams Pursuit world champion, and also a former teammate of mine in a WA-based team. Satellist has come on the stream as well and just said that he's looking forward to getting entered in some of these races soon. So that's good, Sammy. Look forward to having you on. A mighty fine sprinter as well. So he'd certainly put a mix in there with the likes of Zavatsky. So yeah, that's going to be interesting getting Sammy involved.
We were talking about that earlier, Wes, how you were sharing this stream over to Swift Riders, and you were like, wait, Swift Riders has 44,000 members right now? As we're heading into the winter for both Australia and Europe and America, it's gonna be insane to see the growth this year because every year it's been exponential. I reckon at the end of this year, Zwift riders could be at 100,000 users. What do you think about that, Wes?
That's pretty insane. That is, yeah, and that's all community based as well. So, it's great that there's so much love out there, and so many people that are that are sharing their stories on Zwift, and getting other people involved across the community.
It's quite crazy to see how fast it's grown from being 800 riders, GCN is on, maybe 2,000 riders, server crash, to now 100,000 and pretty stable service once in a while. So it's going to be great to see
Hmm.
as the racing picks up, as the winter picks up, and we have an attack off the front, and none other than the newest Vision
No.
pickup, Cameron Roberts. Last week, Wes, he averaged 5.5 watts per kilo for the majority of the second half of the course. He's a man that can hold this, and this could very well be game over 6 kilometers into a race tonight.
It could be, but I'm sure that some of the people in the bunch, like we said, they gathered around and tried to get a little bit organized last week, but it was almost too late, and you had that gap, and they couldn't quite get it back. It did come down to the wire, though. They were only, I think, 2 seconds was in it at the end, but it looks like there's a little bit of reaction now from the bunch there.
It's
A quick shout
Talbot.
out to Armani Gates, also coming in on the stream as well. He's got his name as Armani Drake, but I know that's Armani Gates. So good to see you jumping in as well. So a few other people as well in the comments there giving out some love. So thanks for joining in and getting involved in the stream. And we will see these riders start to come back together here now. I think they're going to I think that's probably the first test there from Cameron Roberts, just to see the legs and what's happening. And I'm sure he has plenty more in him there ready to go again.
It's really fun to see the aspect of form and fitness on Swift because it's a video game. You assume everyone's going to be on their peak performance every single race, every single game. But I remember peak Pat Shaw from last year's E-Crit. There was no stopping this man. He is just getting back on the bike after having not ridden for a while. He's in here. Usually when you see an attack like that from Roberts, Pat Shaw would be all over that. What was it you used to say? Like seagulls over crisps or fries? What was it saying?
like like seagulls on chips.
Yeah, I remember that. Pat Shaw, he's sitting in. It's gonna be good to see as the racing picks up, riders get more and more fit, the peloton gets bigger and bigger, and it gets stronger. The majority of the down under guys are actually racing the CVR World Cup playoff round that's happening actually right now, also on Swift. There's Jeffrey Keel, Oliver Jones, and Linton Savatsky over in that race, trying to help Jeffrey Keel beat Stefan Lewendorf for a chance to go to the next CVR World Cup. So you can also watch that out on course. I do believe it's streamed over on the CVR World Cup Facebook page. But Wes, we are about 10 minutes into our racing. There is 26 to about 28 kilometers left. Not much has happened so far. Talk me through this course. Now you've seen it a few times. You go around the volcano, you go inside the volcano. Where are the crucial points on this course?
Well, definitely the crucial points is leading up through that volcano to the finish. It's that slight uphill drag, and it's really quite taxing leading into it as well, and jostling for position. And as you start to go through that volcano, it starts to bend up and around the corner. That's where you'll see some people go for the long range I guess it is a sprint, but it's a long range almost attack. And Pat Shaw, when he's on, that would be his trademark to go, out of that round the corner into the volcano. You see it start to fire up. And that's where Pat will go for his long range. And that's where it's very vital that if you have those correct power-ups, which would be the aero power-up, to save those to that last part. And we did see on the last race we raced through the volcano circuit there, I can't remember who it was now, Jess, but that just time their power-up to perfection there to come over the top and steal the victory. So we'll see some sort of race like that tonight. But with Cameron Roberts on form and wanting to go solo, it's going to be pretty hard for people to match him at the moment, I think, especially showing last week staying away 3 laps on the London course. It's going to be a tough one for the others to follow and match his power.
It is, but it's a long race to go, and it's still all together on the front. We spoke about the new Innsbruck course. I know another thing coming to Swift very soon is the marketplace. It's not been officially announced or anything, but Jonathan Levy over on Swift Hype, I love this man. He is digging around the files of Swift. I don't know how much you can say, Wes, but this man has looked into the files of Swift. He's found out that there's some sort of marketplace coming. Eric Min has also confirmed this on the Swiftcast before, but it's a marketplace where it seems like you can buy wheels, you can buy frames. I don't know about any other things. How much can you actually tell the users out there about what's coming with this marketplace?
Well, obviously, a lot of people that have reached level 25 want that to go up so they can still have the in-game sort of function of challenging themselves. So that's 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 something that obviously will come into fact with that. So I can't say too much more than that, really, Jasper. I know that with that marketplace, though, that will keep continuing with that level up sort of thing, and that will be in-game. Obviously something for the ride and give them something to aim for. For those riders that have reached that level 25, then yeah, look forward to that marketplace.
I'm sorry, I had to try, Wes. I had to put you on the spot because me and Jonathan Levy, we got our own little group chat going on. Like, have you seen this? Oh, this is what's coming next, Jesper. And it's quite fittingly called Zwift Hype, and it's definitely hyping up all the great things coming to Zwift this winter.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it, and there's a few other little hidden gems and surprises coming up soon, which I'm really looking forward to dropping as well, especially being in peak season now here down the southern hemisphere. So we crossing back to the race now, Jasper. We see Watson here at 380 watts now going down to 270, 290. And 83 sort of cadence there, and heart rate sitting at 170. So still, sitting at a pretty high sort of tempo threshold here. So the riders aren't just fluffing along here; they're actually having a bit of a workout here.
And he qualified last year for the finale, didn't he? I seem to remember
Yes.
Wes's wheel being at the finale. So he's definitely a strong, consistent rider, but he just lacks that final punch to actually take the wins. He always seems to come second, third, fourth, fifth, which is enough in the actual race series to qualify for the finale. But if you keep racing your butt out like this, you kind of want to have that one trophy to put on the shelf and be like, race series 7 stage 5 hour 9 mine. I took that race, 20 points for me. But keep fighting, keep
Yeah.
digging, and one day it will come.
That's it. That's it. So hopefully we'll see a few of these other names in here as well. Just we'll have to get a few shout outs and have a look through here, some names that we haven't seen before, because we did that with John Bates last year. And did we see what happened with that? He come out and actually qualified and made the final. So we have come. Let's have a little bit of a scan through now and see some of the names that we probably haven't called out yet, and give them a shout out and see if that can spur them on to. No, they don't have to attack, but spur them on to be towards the front of the bunch.
We've got a few names in there that I haven't really seen before, like El O'Brien, N Booth, Slattery. There's also a few other names. I saw a Kiss rider in there, but Locandro is his name. These riders, yes, they could be the next John O'Bates, but what you do have to remember is that John O'Bates raced every week. So yes, he was an unknown entity, but we kind of took him into the fold and made him a known entity. So if you are M. Booth, if you are Lecandro and these riders, keep racing every week if you're listening to the broadcast. Light it up a tiny bit, and then suddenly you'll have a nickname, you'll have a soundtrack, you'll have a next movie coming out, a blockbuster titled Here Comes Johnny. So just have a bit of fun, go for it. You may not win, but at least you can make me and Wes have a bit of fun calling out your name.
Booth. So what could we nickname Booth? It's already a bit of almost a nickname there, Boothy. I guess Boothy, just the Aussie way, but you just put a bit of a Y or an E on it, Boothy, i.e. So Boothie here. So N Boothie.
Well, I think of the TV
And
series
Booth.
Bones. I think of that FBI agent Booth or whatever. You may not have seen it, but is there really a nickname for Booth?
Well, I'm just thinking like Booth, you have a phone booth. I'm just thinking he might actually go into the phone booth and just come out charging and be Superman. We don't know. We'll soon see when the series unfolds.
There we
And
go.
now it
The
looks like
nickname is
Boothie's up to
Clark Kent.
400 watts.
That's
Clark
it.
Kent. So Boothie / Clark Kent may come out of the booth ready to fly.
Oh, so what are some of the best nicknames on Zwift? There is Matthew Druchon, known as Houdini, due to his magician tricks. Who else is there out there? There's Here Comes Johnny. What other great nicknames are there that I'm forgetting? The Bumblebee, of course. Let's not forget Ollie
Oh,
Jones.
yeah.
Who else
Yeah.
am I forgetting, Wes?
Well, Shorey, sure thing. We call old
Mm.
Shorey the sure thing. You know that he's going to definitely attack most of the time, especially when he's in form. Is a sure thing. So S. Richards as well. Here we go. Keith Leonard is out solo now. So Keith is a very strong rider and one that probably could try and challenge Roberts. He has been away in a breakaway with Roberts a couple of weeks back on the London course, wasn't it, Jasper?
Yes, he is quite strong. Just not strong enough to beat Roberts, but he's trying to light it up. He's on that innovation cycling team, one of the strongest teams on Zwift. They know how to race Zwift. It is quite interesting to see how this plans out. But as he attacked West, and even now he was sitting at 75 to 65 RPM. Like that's quite low.
Mm.
Like that is grinding
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'm hoping maybe his cadence is maybe a little bit out of sync, or he hasn't got it quite paired right. But it looks like it's not jumping around all over the show. It's pretty steady. So, yeah, that's something that maybe Keith wants to work on a little bit there. If you are listening, Keith, probably just pick that cadence up a little bit. In the 80s, you probably want to be up around the 85s, if not more, just to conserve that energy. It's like, picking up a weight that's light. You can pick it up a fair few times. If you pick up a heavy weight, you can't really do it that many times before you start to really implode the muscle. And then, she's lights out after that. But Keith is mighty strong, regardless of his low cadence.
That's such a cyclist thing, by the way. Watch somebody else ride the bike and always have an opinion on how to fix their riding style. That might work for them or not. But like, when you go out riding for friends, or you're like, you should maybe consider getting Durace on there, or Di2, or Campac. Like it's
I
such a
mean,
cycling thing. It doesn't happen in any other sport.
maybe also with Keith too, he may be tired. So when you are tired a little bit as well, or fatigued, it is easier, well, feels easier to push a slightly heavier gear as well. So we don't know what Keith's been up to the rest of the week. He may have already had some other outdoor racing as well. So we see the W Van off the front here now.
He is trucking along in the front. He put that into fifth gear, went on to the attack from China. He's in the Peaks coaching kit. He looks quite strong, and we do have some Asian riders like mixing it up into the Ecrit series. Best memory is Mr. Boombox, who was one of the first
Yeah,
riders to win a
Boomy.
stage when we were broadcasting. And they do mix things up. There are entities out on course that you can draft. You can have strategies with them. They're not eligible to
Yep.
win since they're not Australian, but they do make up the numbers out on course, Wes.
Absolutely. We see Van jumping on the wheel here. Wham Bam, thank you, man, is on the back of Roberts here. So it looks like these two are going to go away together now. He's bridged that gap up to Roberts, and Roberts looks like he's going to step on it here. It looks like hopefully they work together here. And this is obviously playing out to the advantage of Roberts, because he will try and probably most likely using tactics, use up Van and then go, thank you, Van, and leave him behind. So just getting up. Oh, it looks like Ian Vinton has said g'day evening,
Hey,
which is
Ian.
on another platform. So I'll just see what are the other comments there. Oh, Osher looks like he's joined the stream as well. Osher has said g'day and saying hello to some of the comments and saying g'day to Ben in the comments. And he said that some people are riding 65 RPM and grinding. So it looks like Osher is Osher in amongst this Ecrit series racing? Have a look
Not
through
the
the pack
front
there.
group from
Maybe,
what I can see, Wes, but he may be in one of the chasing groups out on
yeah.
course.
Great. So good to see Osher in amongst it as well. He's the mighty fine Zwifter and loves to get involved in the community as well and share his Zwifting story out through his socials, through Instagram, and that's so great. Thanks for tuning in, Osher, and getting involved in the Ecrit racing tonight. And we see Cam Roberts still working away out here with Van, and looks like Van is sort of just holding the wheel there, and probably rightly so, and let Roberts do some of the work here, because Roberts is, as he's shown last week, is probably one of the strongest riders in this field.
But you've got Talbot trying to bridge back that gap now. He's attacking across just before the hill here. We're going to have a three-man group, but what he's done now, he's actually dragged the entire peloton back up to Cameron Roberts and Van. And let's just take a time out here. Talbot, his avatar, what? It's just, what? Are you seeing this, Wes? Like, what?
Yeah, it's representing Brody in real life. He actually does have long hair, so he's got a bit of a ponytail going there. It's quite. I don't think we doesn't really look like a man bun, but I think that's what he's sort of trying to go for there. So that's what Brody Talbot's got, the long hair. And just getting a message on the chat from Osher saying that he's sitting in a deck chair on set at the moment. So those that don't know, Osher is usually on a few TV shows called The Bachelorette and a couple other shows as well. So he's on set at the moment, and he said he's just bludgeon work. So thanks for tuning in as well, Osher, and watching this Ecrit unfold. So yeah, that's looks like at the moment now. Who's that going over the top there, Jasper? I didn't quite catch that.
Van again. He is off the front once again from China. He's 1 second off the front here. We're keeping an eye on him, but no one is really seeming to be reacting to it. So sometimes when you've got non-natives from down under, when you've got foreigners, quote unquote foreigners, attacking off the front, there's a gentleman's agreement not to attack with them and not to use them.
Mhm.
But since this is preseason, everything kind of goes, and you'll see Roberts, you'll see Talbot, you'll see everyone trying to just take advantage of anything out on course. And while there's a tiny bit of lull in the action here as we come back down the backside of the volcano on Thursday, West, or actually, yeah, Thursday, it's my belief that we're covering another race. What are we doing on Thursday?
On Thursday, we are going to mix it up, something we haven't highlighted before on streaming content. Ben Gove has a race called the Chop. If anyone is familiar with track cycling in Australia, there's handicap races. So with that, the slower riders that aren't quite as quick as your A grade, so like your graded riders, will generally start with a head start. So this will happen in a grade. So they'll let the slower riders start off, and then it's a bit of cat and mouse game, and they have to try and chase those riders down. So each group will have to try and chase the group in front of them, and so forth. So obviously there's a race inside a race, there's a race inside the grades, and then there's a race for the overall. So the main objective is for the back group, the A group, to catch the front C or D group. So depending on how many riders they get, obviously can impact on the group functionality and how they work together. And so it's a really interesting race, and I've actually taken part in one of the Chop races. It's going to be fun to commentate on that one.
Now, how do you get involved? If you're out there listening or watching or racing right now, how do you get involved on Thursday in that stream that takes place at the exact same time as this stream does?
Yeah, so it's actually going to be just a little bit later at 7:15. So 7:15, look for the Chop, and then as well through your Zwift mobile app. So with the Zwift companion app, you'll be able to go through, have a check on there, and look for the 7:15, the Chop, and then you'll be able to enter in whichever grade you see fit. So have your watts per kilo, so you can work that out by like you would in some of the other events. So what you can hold for your FTP, what your watts per kilo would be. So, we're looking at, for this sort of race, you're looking at 4 to 5 watts per kilo for the top end guys, and then obviously going back from there for B grade, C grade, and D grade.
I'm excited to cover that race because I've seen something similar before, and it's dubbed the Swift Hare and Hounds race on Swift, where you've got category starts and staggered starts. But often the result of that race is that the winner comes from the B category because it starts just close enough to catch the front guys, and they start just far enough not to get caught from the A riders. But we'll see what happens on Thursday. I'm quite excited to see it. I won't participate in the racing, but I'll watch it and I'll have fun. I will be making all sort of cringy jokes with Wesley Salzburger, just like we do on the E-Crit, guys. What do you see unleashed?
Yeah. And it is like Ben's been running these races, and he's had some feedback saying they wanted another race during the week of an evening. We had a slot there, and that's where we worked that out with Ben. So I appreciate Ben's help in helping organise this, and it'd be great if we could, even if you aren't able to compete, if you could let other Zwifters know that we will be live streaming that one. So if you want to get involved, and would love the call outs, which we enjoy doing as well, Jesper, to give the old call out. Then jump in and get involved again. Just jump on the Zwift companion app and then register for the event. So 7:15 on a Thursday evening, Australian Eastern Standard Time.
My favorite part of last year's E-Crit series was that we built up such a bond with every rider. I don't know what it was like on your end, Wes, but after every single race, I would have at least 4 riders send me a detailed race report. Like they would they dissect everything they did wrong or everything they did right in the stage and be like, "Oh, Jesper, thank you so much for the shout out. I had nothing left in the sprint. I used the aero power up like Cameron Roberts is doing right now at the wrong moment.
Now.
Next week I should be doing it better."
Yeah, and Cameron Roberts is certainly laying it in now at 700 watts and not letting it down. Also, just a quick update there. Thanks, Ben. He's just updated that it's 7:10 for the race on Thursday night, not 7:15. So earlier on we did discuss 7:15, but we adjusted that to 7:10. So 7:10 on Thursday night. But it looks like Cameron Roberts now is not mucking around with this one. He was sitting at 700 watts and holding, and now he's easing back into 500, just an easy 500, and sort of holding that distance now, wanting to build up a bit of a gap. And there's still a fair way to go in this race, Jesper.
There is about 15 kilometers left of racing. and Cameron Roberts has got a 10-second gap. We're seeing Van back in the front. He's chasing the peloton now. He's leading it at 10 watts per kilo. If you are Keith Leonard, Stephen Richards, or Pat Shaw, this is the move you want to be with. If you can get into that slipstream, Van will drag you to the front. That's what he's going to do. But it looks like he's given up a tiny bit, and Roberts now has a 10-second gap. We've seen this before. This is deja vu all over again. This is another episode of the Cameron Roberts solo train exercise.
It is, and we've got a few other comments coming through on the stream as well. Welcome, Ben. Ben Church Michael has joined the stream, so good to see you involved. We've also got Luke saying first time viewing, so great tuning in, Luke, and thanks for getting involved. And then someone else, Jesse, has said his bummer he's missed a start, and he said good luck to all the lads out there, and it looks like it's going to be brutal.
Can we just take a second? How do you miss, like this happened last week again. Jesse, how do you miss the start of a virtual race? You don't have to take the train anywhere. You don't have to pump up the tires. You don't have to actually put the wheels back on the bike if you transport it. It's literally 7 o'clock, make my tea, I get on. I know it's not that simple, but again, it's a virtual race, Wes.
It is a virtual race, so I don't know. Maybe the train was late and he couldn't make it back. I'm not sure, or maybe he got a puncture on his actual commuting bike coming back from work. We don't know. So let us know, Jesse, in the comments of what's your good excuse. Jesper wants a good one, so make sure you come up with some sort of random excuse if you don't have a good one. Yeah.
Come up with the best excuse in the comment section below of why you would miss a Zwift race start. I'm sure we'll pick out a winner and we can send you a Zwift beat on or something. So come up with some ingenuity, bring out the best excuse, and Wes is gonna do his entry right now. Wes, it's a Tuesday evening, it's 7 o'clock local time, and you get on your bike at 7:02 and the race has already started. Why did you miss the start?
Why did I miss the start? I missed the start because I was still on daylight savings time. I hadn't changed the clock. So I was half an hour out, or I was on Adelaide time, so I was half an hour out.
Oh, God. See, I was about to go home, but then I realized I took my disc wheels on my rim brake bike, and I realized it didn't quite work, so I couldn't make it home in time, guys. First world problems. Now, in the chat, it's your turn. Let's see. I expect Wendy Superfan, I expect Jesse, I expect Ben Grove, and the rest of the bunch. Cameron Roberts while he's chilling 20 seconds off the front. Get your excuses in the comments section below. 15 kilometers left of racing West. 17 seconds to the new Vision inductee, Cameron Roberts. That team is going to be tough to beat once the E-Crit series starts.
Jim Sell has got a good one. The cat ran off with the Amp Plus stick. You can sort of relate to that, Jess, because I remember watching some of your very, very, very first streams, and the cat pulled out the plug for your internet cable.
Oh, I was so pissed. So back home in Denmark, where I used to live, my cat would jump on my table and jump out through the window without he would literally be like a drive-by. He'd come in through the door running, run onto the table, run up and hit the window, and just straight through. And while doing that, he would hit the Ethernet cable and drag it out. That was not fun.
Oh dear. So that's a good one. Thanks for that, Tim. My 6-year-old Jackson is on my bike already. This actually happened. That's Ben Gope saying that his 6-year-old was on his bike already riding. So yeah, that's another thing too. Yeah, maybe someone else from the household is already on your station.
But Ben, that's what the elbow was invented for. Just fling one.
Brad Church Michael said, "Come on, Wes, to be honest, you couldn't fit the single speed on the trainer." So I have been using the commuter lately, and I went for a ride over the weekend for about 35-40 kilometers on the single speed with Johnny and a few others, because my other road bike actually only have a front wheel at the moment because the back wheel isn't here. I borrowed a front wheel off actually Johnny Walker, who's I'm doing the stream from tonight, his place. So I borrowed a front wheel off him, and I don't need a back wheel for the trainer. So that's what got me by, but it hasn't got me by to get out the road for a real life ride. So I've been using a single speed to go for a ride with Johnny out, and he's been quite kind and taking me on non-hilly routes as well, which is quite good. It looks like the power's been laid down again by Leonard here, stretching the legs, but everyone's quick to react here now, Jasper. No one's really letting anything go anywhere here. A bit of a policeman of shutting it down now.
They are, but they're 9 seconds up to Cameron Roberts. This last week they got as close as 6 seconds over the top of Trafalgar Square on the London course, and then it grew out again to about 30 seconds. So if you are Albin, Michelle, Watson, Pat, etc. down in the peloton, this is right about now where you got to bridge that gap. 6 seconds. It's not going to get much closer unless you put in an effort to bridge it. There's about 13 kilometers to go. You can see there are 3 laps of racing left. So that's actually 12 kilometers flat now to the finish line. And Roberts has got 4 seconds. We've got Van on the front and now. But whereas a previous remark that we really should be touching on is that Cameron Roberts has been picked up by Vision. Linton Zavatsky has been picked up by Vision. They are watching these races, all the teams on Zwift, and they see who really perform above expectations and pick them up for their squads. And they're trying to bolster their squad for a massive event that's happening this offseason. And that's the CVR Team World Cup, West, where teams will be racing in a league every Tuesday, same night as now when the eCrit is not on, and they will then be competing for a chance to win over 20 grand on Zwift. And this is what Vision is stacking up their team. Where do you see esports and racing like with Zwift growing in the future, Wes?
Oh, absolutely. I know there's a bar here in Melbourne that called GG Easy, which streams games across on Twitch and that as well across in the bar the whole time. It's an actual gaming streaming bar. I haven't checked it out yet, but one thing I would like to go check out, and I would like to let them know that we are doing this eCrit series and get that going at the bar, and let people know about what this crazy game is that people are pedaling and playing with their legs and not a remote controller. It looks like, Jesper, you pulled out a remote controller there. What's the go as well with the Rash Cream in there? I can see as the name.
The rat what?
Rash Cream, one of the riders.
Oh, I was thinking,
Rash
where do you
Cream.
see that in my office, my studio? Where's the Rash Cream? That's interesting, Wes. How did you spot that? It's my secret.
No, I'm seeing Rash Cream there. So
it might be a lap rider out on course. Yeah, it is 5 kilometers back. He's in this group. They've been up, but he's sticking on. But he's got a very interesting name, Wes. Have you ever done that in real life?
Yeah. I've used chamois cream, but not Rash Cream. So
I meant show up and shake your hand and be like, "Hi, my name is Rash Cream."
No, I can't say I have. But yes, Cameron Roberts is now saying solo is a no-go. So not liking it out in front there on his own.
It could be that the legs are finally catching up to him, because if you do this sort of effort every Tuesday for an hour, eventually you would think your legs give in, right?
Yeah, eventually they will have to start to collapse. But we're going back to what you're saying about esports as well, and Cameron Roberts aligning himself with Vision to be involved. Very smart move. One of those strong riders on here, and with a team as well that were purely racing, especially for money. If money's involved as well, Cameron Roberts, goes across to the US and races also around the globe, and with Zwift could also take him around the globe. So could be pretty interesting for him, and something that that obviously is interested him enough to be teaming up to become part of Team Vision.
It could, because at the end of the next month, I believe there's a CVR Vancouver live event where 10 male and 10 female pro racers on Zwift have been invited to come duke it out at a live finale somewhere. And that could be Cameron Roberts. That could be the Pat Shaws, like they've done in the eCrit finale in Rafa Melbourne. That has just seemed to be taking off and growing every year as more and more people get involved and get interested. Because I remember the CVR Los Angeles event, which I had a really great time at, which was Zwift esports racing. At the very peak of the men's finale, there was 2,000 concurrent viewers watching on Facebook and Mixer. That to me is unreal, Wes. Imagine having one of those Zwift events that we so much love and putting 2,000 people into the same room watching people suffer on a bike. That's pretty big.
Yeah, it's incredible that that especially the people that aren't across Zwift in general, that are streaming, that are gamers as well, that are getting involved in this. It is an online multiplayer game, so getting involved in this. This Zwift phenomenon really that's really taking off now, and it's something that's quite different compared to other esports, because this is actually virtual sports, because they're actually using their legs to pedal it. these bicycles. So that power is fed through to your avatar. So it's pretty interesting as well. That the running side of it as well coming into Zwift too. So there could be some other duathlon sort of things like what we run at Tour Under at the start of the year as well. Some other sort of different virtual indoor racing events.
Could be interesting to watch to see how that grows in the future. And if, like, there's talks about esports being an Olympic sport for 2022 or whatever it is when it's in China. Correct me, Wes?
So, so with that, Jasper, actually, you saying these are pros with races, that will actually potentially become a thing in the future. Pro virtual racer.
Yeah, I do not doubt it. People spending time peaking their form to go to the right moment because I spoke to a few professional racers at like country level here in the UK, and they actually make more money winning a race on Swift when like CVR or Swift are involved than they do winning a tour series, it's a crit where there's all this organization going in and they have to train, they have to come, they have to bike skills. Whereas a Swift race, they can race at home and make almost 3, if not 4 times the amount of money they would have if they had to go somewhere and, risk crashing. It's insane to see the potential of this growing, and I do believe this could be an Olympic sport in the future. But that's just me. I'm a Swiftaholic. I can't stop watching this. This is what I live for. So it is entertaining to see as we've now got 2 laps of racing left to go, 1.5 lap actually, and it is still very much all together in the front. No one has really been able to break it up. Cameron Roberts tried, hasn't succeeded. Wes, it's time for a prediction. Who wins and how does that person win?
Well, I'm going to go with an outsider. I'm going to go for W. Van. We did see him respond to those efforts of Roberts early as well. And when Roberts laid down those attacks at 800 to, touching over 800 watts, he was able to respond. So outside of there, I'm going to go for Van there. So W. Van.
I like it. So we're both going to go with 2 foreigners. I will go with my good friend and Team Cycling Hub teammate, a ginger citizen, Mr. Russ Crowder of Jersey. So we're going to have 2 non-Australians win today's race. That's a very first here on the eCrit broadcast. Let us know who you think will win today's stage in the comment section below. You did so well with all the excuses to why you missed the start. Now let's see if you can predict the winner of today's eCrit stage. Let us also know where you're watching in the world. Are you watching from Australia or are you watching from the UK? Is it evening? Is it morning? What sort of snack are you having? Because Wes, I know down under with SBS, that's a big thing. Hashtag tour snacks.
It is a big thing. So yeah, last week we had the pizza being burnt by everyone, but and we were actually eating that pizza. So all of the pizza, we were talking about this with Shane Miller. We're at Shane GP Llama's headquarters last time with the stream with Pat. All of the pizza that people burn on Zwift has to go somewhere. So all of it goes to GP Llama's house. So there was just pizza everywhere there. There was boxes piled up. We couldn't even open the front door. And Llama said that, someone has to eat all this pizza. So this time I'm actually a little bit slim pickings for snacks. I didn't have time to get amongst it. But as I called out, Van has decided to unleash early here and test the legs. So don't know whether that's a bold strategy there going this far out, but obviously confident there, Jasper.
It is. And then second wheel closing down the gap is Ginger Citizen in that Wahoo Fitness kit. And we do have a 2-man breakaway if they can keep this power on now with Van and Ginger Citizen. That'd be quite the 1-2 punch, but they are being caught down by the mainly Australian-led peloton with Greg Watson on the front. And I think Shane Miller owes us all a video. Pizza, first review, opening, like installation, like comparison to P1 pedals. How does pepperoni pizza compare in power wattage numbers? I mean, come on, Shane, you can't be keeping all that pizza from the rest of us. We all gotta live.
He's got to share it. So we've got Bob Morley as well cheering for Pat from Ballarat as well in the comments, and good to see Dale Richardson has just joined in to watch the stream as well, and Isaac Hogan saying Roberts has got to go solo the last lap.
You think Isaac? Isaac is another man who's been racing this quite a lot, so I think he knows what he's talking about. You'd think Cameron Roberts would go for a long one, but seeing him being mortal today, seeing him being actually human and not being able to sustain a 10-second gap, I think today is the day he's going to be dethroned. Someone is going to come in there holding a shield and a sword, and they're going to knock him off that throne.
We haven't seen Pat Shaw do one tap tonight as well. So Pat's just been skimming along in the bunch there in the hot heels of everyone's wheels. Hasn't come through at all. So we see Polly also in amongst it there that we haven't seen come out tonight as well. So we've had a few people sitting in this bunch here who may have some fresh legs. If they have the power-ups correct, then we could see a little bit of action here, Jesper, from some other names that we weren't quite on our radar.
It really should be Greg Watson's night, though. He's looked unstoppable on the front. His heart rate has been good. He's been riding really, really well. If he times this to perfection, it should be his night. I mean, some of them guys that are on peak form, they're slowly coming down their peak now, while others are slowly gaining. And Greg has also been racing quite a lot with the rest of these guys. He should be one of the guys to watch out for if it comes down to a bunch sprint. He knows this course. He's raced it at the highest stakes. But the peloton's quite big, the pace is quite up there, and we're now about to enter the last course, the last lap. And since we don't have a cowbell, I still didn't bring it. It is in our newest employee, Victor Lundqvist's room, and I haven't been out in there. We have a drone right here. So I am going to slap this drone as the last lap of racing. That's probably not the best use of equipment. But yep, last lap, everybody. Here we go. Get excited.
Sponsored, not sponsored by TGI. So also we have Linda Norton saying, give it to him, Shorey, and got a few little WAP bombs. Looks like she's put in there in the little emojis. And also Robbie Parker joining us from Tasmania as well, joining in the stream. So hopefully we'll see Robbie get involved in the series later down the track. But we see Pat Shaw on his avatar here now. 990 RPM there and 340 watts. He's got 170 beats, so he's got plenty of wiggle room. He's got at least 20 beats there. I think he gets up to around the 190s, Pat Shaw. So he's still got a fair bit to play with there. And I reckon we'll see Pat probably time his sprint really well. Keith Leonard also very strong. We've got a lot of riders that are strong here. Cameron Roberts stretching the legs out in front early here. I don't think this is a serious move, but just sort of playing it out.
Oh, and now it also comes down to who's got that aero power-up. You like a feather, but you would love an aero power-up coming into that finish. It's when you pop it that's going to matter, or if you've even got one. Robert's testing out the legs. We got Basil in here. We got O'Brien looking quite strong. There's about 3 kilometers left of racing now, 2.5 kilometers. They have to go back in through the volcano, come on the outside, and then they have to go up that incline to the finish line. The pack is actually the biggest, the most compact it's been in the 4 weeks we've covered the E-Crit so far. And this is actually the 1 week, Wes, where I can't call it. I can't predict it from looking at the point right now. And that means, everybody, you're in for a treat. This is going to be one hell of a finish. So get ready, tell a friend. Give a reaction, because this is going to be firepower.
Yeah, we're going to see some highlights there. Jesper's going to be a little blue power-ups firing everywhere. I reckon that everyone's been saving up. We haven't seen too many. We see Van go early here now. Look at the power being put out and over 600 watts and trying to hold that now. So he's going to try and distance them early here now. No real reaction coming from the bunch here now, Jesper.
No, Van is off the front from China as they're now halfway through the lap. 5-4 second gap. It's the 2 Frenchmen, Frederic and Alban, who's chasing him down. He's got a 4-second gap. Greg Watson comes to the front now. He needs to be playing his cards correctly here. Don't do all the pacing on the front. Don't do all the chasing. Other riders will do it for you, but he's going for it. What's going on, Wes?
Well, yeah, it's going to be to the other rider's advantage if Greg is on the front now. That's going to certainly take the power of his legs, but he must be a little bit worried about Van being called out early. I said now his Van's picked it back up to 600 watts, 500 watts on holding, and 100 cadence there, and it looks like he's at 174 heart rate. So Van looks like he's eased off the pedals a bit here now. The power's a bit up and down, a little bit choppy there. So Van looks like, and now step back on it again now. So this is really going to be threatening now. I may have called it right here, Jesper.
I really want to see what sort of trainer Van is on, because I imagine he's on a watt bike, one of those manual watt bikes where you have to change the gear. So he sprints, change the gear, sprints, change the gear, and then he brings it back down. So that makes the power go down and the cadence go down, then back up, then back down. I mean, it's quite effective. He must be pretty strong to be able to hold off this peloton. They can see him off the front. But now, with the 1.2 kilometers to go, he's only 5 seconds up the front. When you can see that prey you're chasing, you can go so much faster. And that is what's happening to the peloton right now, Wes.
It does. And look like Brody Talbot didn't have the power up he wanted there. He used that draft power up, then rolled off the front, and looks like he was doing a bit of pacing there. Maybe for some of these other players in the game here now that were in amongst it to get up there. But we will see this come down to the wire now. It's going to be a mass sprint here, Jasper, unless we see someone go for a long range attack to try and bridge that gap to Van.
Here we go. 700 meters to go, everybody. We're going to turn left on the front here. We got Seven Hills from South Korea trying to break it up early in the front. He's sitting at 10 watts per kilo. Seven Hills out of South Korea is attacking, and no one is quite reacting to this yet. We got Ginger Citizen off the front, but it's Seven Hills from South Korea. 2-second gap. Talbot is in their second place. Cameron Roberts is trying to go with it, but no power-ups have really been popped so far except for a few featherweights. 500 meters to go now. They're going to turn left. Van is up here. Seven Hills is up here. Mon Rich is up here. Cameron Roberts has gone early, but he's got some power to go now. Rich has got an arrow power up. He pops it at the right time. But Cameron Roberts is in the draft here. It's going to be difficult. He's going to come around him at some point. Here's another arrow power up. But look, everyone has got one, Wes. It's fair game for everybody. Pat Shaw is in the wheel he wants to be. 300 meters to go. 200 meters to go. It's Cameron Roberts on the front, but it's going to come down to the wires. They are lapping riders up there. It's going to be none other than Cameron Roberts taking another victory in the Zwift Kiss E-Crit Series. Rich is second place with Critlin in third, beating Pat Shaw, Wes.
Rich, nice work by Rich there. That is a strong effort. So Mon Rich. So, and on the Tron bike there as well. So, you know, not a casual Zwifter. Obviously, with those Tron bikes, you see those glowing bikes, it takes a bit of work to get those ones, Jasper.
Really impressed with Critlin and Rich, two complete newcomers to the racing course out here on Zwift, and they managed to beat the likes of Pat Shaw in a heads-up sprint. And really, Rich just timed that air power up to perfection. It was just a shame that he had one of the best Australian racers right now, Cameron Roberts, in his wheel. Otherwise, he might have snuck away with one. But anyway, everybody, that was the KISS Australian E-Crit. If you enjoyed it, make sure to click the like button here on Zwift Community Live or over on the Zwift Facebook page. Wes and I will be back on Thursday with the Chub Race, a different take on Zwift racing. It's going to be fast. It's going to be fun. Wes, any closing remarks here?
Yeah, thanks for everyone who rocking up for the E-Crit race. Also, just to let people know once again that it'll be the exact same circuit for the race on Thursday at 7:10 Australian Eastern Standard Time. We'll also be streaming that one, so please get involved. If you aren't able to make it, then maybe muster up some of your teammates or some of the other Zwifters to get involved, because we will be streaming that and broadcasting and doing some call-outs like Critlin. So great job tonight by the newcomers, Rich and Critlin. Well done, and hope to see you next time. Thank you.